Hi, I'm Johnny, a UX designer and founder of a London-based design agency. So how did I end up here?
Hey, we're gonna lift. Look at me, look at me.
Well, 2 weeks ago we were invited down to Herefordshire by a company called Iqarus. Iqarus provide practical hands-on training for medical and non-medical professionals who might find themselves in extreme and hostile situations. The training that they provide is to prepare individuals for whatever they might encounter. This is run through scenarios. These scenarios could range from an urban warfare situation. They could range from a post-disaster zone. It could even be an extreme climate like a jungle or an Arctic tundra. The skills that they impart could very well be the difference between life and death in some of these settings. And as part of the invitation that we received, we were given an all-access tour, and I got to learn some of the skills on the day. I'm totally in awe of everything that these guys do, and I had an absolute blast filming it. I really hope you enjoy the episode as much as I enjoyed filming it. Please do like, comment and subscribe, and enjoy.
So this is our briefing area really.
Yep.
So students will come in here. They're all allocated a locker each. All of the PPE, the protective equipment and stuff is all sort of stored in this area. And they sit here and then they're given briefs on different scenarios, different simulations, different events that have happened. So it gives them a sort of concept of operations really, what they're about to go into. And then ask any questions, etc. The whole place is wired for sound and for visual. So, there's a lot of cameras in all the different scenario rooms, simulation rooms, Sonos speakers, which, we can put different sounds in different rooms, and, we can put an amalgam of sounds together, which is amazing actually for the guys. So the whole point of this really is to take people out of the classroom.
Yeah.
And put them into an environment where they may be operating in, to be honest. And it's much better than doing, practical medical work on the floor of a classroom, when you're actually doing it in a simulated environment. But yeah, we do tend to get some really good feedback from the guys who have been involved in some of the simulations that we've put together.
Who typically are the types of people that you have here?
So we have media crews here. So media crews that go out into the big wide world and, do their job. So it's all about preparation really, preparing them to be able to do, their role. 9 times out of 10, being a medic is not their primary role, but, when needs must, they do it. So we do like to prepare them as much as possible for that eventuality. So media teams, we also have had police teams here, blue light, services, so ambulance service, the police, we've had fire and rescue being trained here, we've had military being trained here. So the client base is really diverse. We do try to get them into a simulated environment pretty quickly. So they'll start doing a bit of theory upstairs in the classrooms, and then we'll try and get them doing the practical work as soon as possible. Yeah. Because that's what they remember. They never remember the PowerPoint, or the
getting hands-on, getting mucking in and getting cracking is.
Get stuck into it. Make a few mistakes. Correct those mistakes. Do it again. Keep doing it. Build up the muscle memory and give them a good level of training. Really.
Yeah. That's what should we take a look at?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, great. So there's the whole place is 16,000 square feet. And it was purpose built. So this used to be a car park.
Okay.
So it was literally just a blank canvas really. And the instructor team got together and we allowed them to decide what they needed really, because they're the people doing it all of the time. So they knew, what was required. And it took about 6 months to build from the ground up. So our team designed it. We brought obviously some architects in to support that. And it's worked very well, to be honest. I think it's worked very well. 16,000 square feet is not that big, but we've managed to cram quite a bit into it.
Well, I'm looking around and I can already see you've got an Arctic room, you've got a woodland jungle, you've got a desert.
Yeah.
Talk me through some of the different settings.
Yeah. So this side of the building here is all of the environmental simulations. Mm-hmm. So, you know, instead of talking in a classroom about malaria or, you know, water purification or, you know, the management of a machete injury, you know, we'll take them into the woodland environment and actually role play that simulation in there. So in there you've got the sound of running water, you know, you've got the foliage and you've got the environment that you would be in, to be honest. We can crank the heaters up in there as well and make it quite uncomfortable. The desert room, again, you know, full of sand, it's hot, you know, supposedly simulating a desert environment. But what we've noticed in there is that, you know, tourniquets that are used have Velcro on them. Mixed with the simulation blood and sand, we do tend to find that the Velcro is not as good as it was prior. So there are tips, you know, that the guys can pick up when they're actually in that room. And it's the same as their equipment, you know. You realise that when they open the bag, their kit sort of explodes everywhere, you know, the old hand grenade in the bag. So they do end up with kit everywhere, you know, and it can go into the sand, you know, their kit can get full of sand. So it gives them a little bit more discipline in regards to equipment management, you know, keep it by your feet,
preparation,
keep it by your knees, etc. Yeah, rather than, you know, the kit being everywhere. And then this one is the Arctic room. So this is a industrial chiller unit that we have in here, and the environment's pretty tough in there. You know, the ground is quite hard. We put tents up in there. We have hypothermic simulations, so people will go in, and it does get quite cold. It gets down to about -13. So,
wow.
So when you're in there, you know, you are gibbering, and you know, you're trying to manage a casualty who's also cold, you know, and all your equipment's cold, and you get to a point where, you know, your vials of medications can freeze. It's what do you do with that? You know, what about the heat transference of the patient? You know, where are they losing that heat from their body? You know, normally the head and, you know, the hands and things like that. So and we can identify that with thermal imagery cameras. So identify how much heat's being lost from an individual, and we have people in there for a good period of time, to be honest. So
that's amazing.
It's
yeah,
great.
I can imagine.
Yeah, no, it's very good. It's very real. Do you know what I mean? When they're in there and they're actually, you know, they are physically shaking and they're opening their kit and the zips, and, you know, do they put gloves on?
Well, that was one of the things I was just thinking, you know, imagine trying to bandage someone up with numb fingers.
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
trying to do an intricate procedure when your hands, you can't feel the extremities.
Exactly. And especially if you've got medical gloves on, you know, without other protective gloves, you know, like warm gloves over the top. So it does bring a different dimension to it. You know, if you're in the classroom, it would be this patient is, you know, 35 degrees. Okay, right, great. You know, you put them in there, they understand what being at, you know, a lower temperature can do to people. So yeah, it's really effective.
100%.
Yeah.
So talk me through some of the other bits and pieces. I can see we've got a gurney here. We've got, you know, some what look like some pretty significant wounds with some blood bags in there as well.
Yeah, these are for the management of hemorrhage, really.
Okay.
So we teach the students how to manage severe hemorrhage, which is obviously one of the main causes of death, to be honest, in trauma. So yeah, these are great simulation models. You know, we can fill them with blood, as you can see, gravity-fed sort of intravenous blood coming into the areas. And these stations are used regularly on the courses. So it would be a case of, you know, managing the bleed, you know, various methods, tourniquet, you know, hemostatic dressings, pressure, etc. So this is quite a busy stand. We've got a few of these dotted around the place, and you know, it takes you from the I would do this to please do.
Yeah.
So it's about doing. It's about doing that practical skill and people remember it and they can manage it.
Well, yeah, you've got a gaping wound here. You've got blood spewing out of it. How are you going to clean, pack, and treat that?
Exactly, and it does tend to work quite well. So
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, the sort of the approach around here really takes you to a street, and it is a street scene. Again, designed on purpose, really. all of the doors or the door frames and the windows are interchangeable. So we can lift these off and we can place a different set of designed doors, or windows, which does completely change the whole feel of the place, to be honest. So you can take it from a, quite a sort of Western street scene pub, they can all be removed and then replaced with Hessian type, door frames and window frames, and it gives a completely different feel to the place, especially when the lights are off and you have different sounds.
What are some of the atmospherics that you?
Yeah, so we've got hostile crowd sounds. So a number of people arguing, shouting, glasses breaking, etc. We can have helicopter noises, we can have police sirens, we can have, calls for help, we could have whatever you want, really. We do literally have a bank of different recorded sounds that we can use, to be honest. We've held riots in here before for sort of situation awareness training. Filled it with sort of 60 people. We've had police Land Rovers in here, doing crowd management, crowd control. We've flown drones up and down the street. We've had CBRNE scenarios, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear scenarios. We've had in the shop here, which could be a shop anywhere really, but in that shop we've had stabbings, so simulated stabbings, people having heart attacks. We've had people letting off simulated chlorine gas in there as a sort of terrorist incident, which then spills out into the street, and then you end up with a major incident on your hands. So for training major incident teams and command teams to manage that.
I mean, I've heard tell that you've even flooded this place at one point.
We have. That was unfortunately that was my idea, to be honest. But, we were running quite a large demonstration for a customer of ours, really, and we wanted to do something different. It's fine seeing the street and seeing what we do, but we need to do something a bit more, outside of the box, really. It took us a long time to actually come up with the operational solution of how we were going to do it, because it's just a street, and if you flood it, you're flooding the whole building, really. So we had to build quite a large carcass all the way around the street, and then fill that with an enormous tarpaulin, sort of one tarpaulin which fit it all, and then we filled it with 80,000 litres of water. So it was touch and go sometimes. The water was pumping in and it was coming out of some of the creases. But that was a busy night, to be honest.
I mean, but how often are you going to get to real life training for a flood situation? Yeah,
exactly.
You're not.
No, you're not. It was really worth it, to be honest. We had people trapped in the house, so the flood was up to about just below the window level there. Mm-hmm. And we did use a bit of artistic license, and we did, sort of change the step approach of the street to make it look, deeper than it was, to be honest. So but it was interesting. It was good. And we had medium inflatable boats on here. We had rescuers on boats, which was amazing, to be honest.
How quickly do you see people kind of like switch into complete immersion with?
Oh, immediately, and it's really interesting to see, actually. If we set off like a pyrotechnic explosion at the bottom of the street, and say there's a team of 6 here, 6 students. Watching the dynamics of that group is really interesting, because some of them will run towards, the incident. 1 or 2 of them will just stand and wait, and then 1 or 2 will move the other way. So there are some real dynamics at play, to be honest, depending on the individual, depending on any prior training or pre-training that they've had, and actually just their build-up and their psyche. So it is interesting, and it's when you're putting somebody into an unknown environment for the first time that they've been in that environment. Some of them are quite edgy. They're a little bit cautious and a bit careful, as they should be. Some are straight in, So it's good. It's good to see that, and then use that as for feedback afterwards. And say, look, just take your time, nice and calmly. Have a look at your surroundings, have a look at the risks, the dangers, that are there, and they are here. And just giving them that level of confidence to be able to do something without having to run in. They don't have to run into it. They can walk into a scene, and they can have good situational awareness around them of what is going on. And also, it's great to identify the mechanism of injury, really, of a casualty. As an example, if you come across a car scene and there's a bullseye on the window, chances are that the individual inside the vehicle has hit the windscreen. Their head has hit the windscreen. And that gives you a really good indication of the pattern of injuries that you may come across. So you can already start to formulate a plan in your own mind in regards to what you're going to see, how you're going to manage it, what resources do you need, before you've even got to the car, really.
Yeah.
So it does help. And obviously the quiet ones are always the ones to be aware of, to be honest. Screaming casualties, they're breathing. They have an airway and they're breathing. The quiet ones may not have. So we've got to be a bit, mindful of that. And these are all the things that we'll try and teach people, to be honest. But there's been a few different simulations in here, and it's we run them every week, to be honest. So we've got the shop, the pub. We've got a collapsed structure there. We've got a bombed out single-story house at the end, which is great actually for
Let's go and have a
simulations.
Look. Take a little wander down.
Yeah.
Because I love the fact that you've got, as you say, it could be pretty extreme situations where you've got kind of, a bombed out house after you, sir. But equally, you've got the more standard urban situation. And I think it really speaks to the fact that this type of training isn't just for, military medics.
No,
people going in extreme situations.
Absolutely. No, not at all. It's, it wasn't designed for military medics, really.
Yeah.
It was designed for anyone, anybody who has a penchant for working in, austere, challenging, sort of remote locations, to be honest, where definitive care is not always there, or the definitive care is limited. So really this is about preparation. It's about building people's confidence to the point where they can comfortably go into a different country, if necessary, and actually be able to save a life.
Yeah.
So that's the whole purpose, really.
Yeah, preparing them to operate in an environment and engage with a situation that, as I say,
would be alien to them.
Completely.
Yeah, exactly.
Throwing someone in that and expecting them to perform at their highest level without any sort of training and preparedness, that's a very unique individual who probably will do that.
Yeah, definitely. No, you're absolutely right. It's and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's good fun. It's seeing people come, on day one of the course to day 5 of the course, and seeing that boost in confidence in them, is really satisfying, to be honest. And it's a real motivator, for the team, and they love it. Actually, the instructors. Yeah,
I can well imagine.
Yeah,
I'm looking around
great.
here myself, and I'm thinking I want to have a go. And get involved with some of this.
Great. No, you're welcome. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's brilliant. I mean, this room in particular, so the sink in the corner there is a fractured pipe in the sink.
Okay.
So we can turn everything on from a central location up at the up on the top of the gantry there. So that just floods the whole area. The sink literally just, doesn't stop. The water doesn't stop coming out. And what you end up then with is dirt, rubble, water, up to ankle height. And where do you put your kit?
Yeah.
Your kit's on your back. Do you put it in the dirty water? Because it'll just get saturated. So
all of these small micro decisions that you normally wouldn't think about.
No.
You're actually forced into a situation where you've got to think about, okay, I've got to crawl through a pipe. I've got, I've got to keep my kit bag out of that water, as you say. Exactly. I don't want it getting dirty.
Exactly. I mean, it's not massively instrumental that the kit is kept dry, but it's just another consideration. It adds another element of duress to an already chaotic situation, to be honest. So, and in here we've had multiple casualties, so you can run triage exercises. You know, so individuals would turn up on scene, and you know, their first role would be obviously identify any issues themselves, any dangers, but then they will go into a triage period and identify the casualties who need to be treated, you know, first.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this room is quite good for that, to be honest, because there's a lot of nooks and crannies in here, and when the lights are off and it's dark, you know, and they're searching for people in here with head torches.
Because you can put smoke on as well, right? So you can even make the visibility really low.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, there's smoke generators everywhere.
Yeah, I noticed some of the little bits and pieces around.
Yeah. And they add a different dimension as well. You know, just that feeling of being engulfed in, you know, in something, to be honest, and that does help, to be honest, and especially using a torch in a smoky environment. You know, the reflections just bounce off. You know,
it's like a single beam of light you've got.
Yeah, exactly. It's you know, you just can't see through the smoke with a torch. You know, so which helps really. And then you have to think about other things like breathing apparatus. You know. Yeah. Should you have breathing apparatus as part of a remote kit in your vehicle? You know. Again, all these different considerations, you know, come to the fore really when we're chatting to the students afterwards. So yeah, it's quite a good environment, to be honest.
Yeah, it's epic. Yeah. I mean, how much feedback when you're getting it from the students? You know, how much of what you're doing is constantly informed by
everything, absolutely everything. I mean, we have made a number of amendments, you know, modifications to the place on the back of the feedback that we received. Really. I think we were probably a little bit overzealous when we first did it, and you know, there were probably some pretty dangerous areas, to be honest. So we have sort of scaled that down slightly, and you know, we haven't gone to the extreme of putting sponges on things, but we've certainly taken advice, you know, and and modified and changed really. So yeah, but we do. The feedback is really critical to us. It's paramount, really. Yeah. You know, without that feedback, you know, what would we have, to be honest? So you know, it is important to us, and we do talk to the students regularly about you know, what could be done better. You know, if you enjoyed it, great, but you know, let's have constantly a proper conversation about about you know, how things can be done differently. This house is an example. This is a 2-story house. Fully functioning, you know.
Oh, we can take a little look inside.
Building regs, you know. The whole place got building regs. So it looks pretty sort of benign, you know, from the outside. So this room, you know, it's standard sort of living room, to be honest. But I
recognise those sofa covers.
You've got a set of them at home, right? Yeah. But,
it's a very stylish home I've got.
Yeah, I'm sure. But here we can, you know, you can have a cardiac arrest.
Yep.
You know, you could have a fall. You can have a drug overdose. You know, countless the scenarios that you can run in here in a very, very small sort of area, to be honest. You know, you could have seen a crime come in here. Forensics can come in and, you know, manage a situation in here for training, you know.
Of course, how do you not compromise a forensic scene?
Yep.
All of that sort of stuff. I mean, one of the things that even I was thinking that as you were talking there about, you know, someone having a fall, even if they fall behind a door.
Exactly. How do you get in?
Yeah.
You know, access.
Without hurting that individual even further.
Yeah, definitely. Access, egress, you know, fire training, you know, domestic house fires, that sort of stuff, you know. We can do all sorts of training in here, to be honest. You know, for a very simple room. But it gets them out of the classroom. 100%. Gets them out of the theoretical sort of PowerPoint, you know. Get them in here, get them doing it, you know, as much as possible, really get the practical elements going. So, and the culture here, you know, within the business is very much of just get on and do it.
Yeah.
You know, get on and do it and get the guys involved. So, which helps really.
Yeah. What's been some of the feedback from, like, after you've run the sessions and people have gone off and done whatever they've gone and done?
Yeah. Oh no, we've had some excellent feedback. You know, we've had feedback of people actually saving lives on the ground for real.
That's incredible.
Which is great, and that's why we're here. So and that gives us a real sense of purpose, to be honest, and nothing more sort of exciting than when you get that feedback and you think, great, we've done our job, that's brilliant, you know, and then pass the message. You know, these guys will go out and train other people, you know, so which is excellent.
Yeah, it's honestly incredible seeing how you've been able to bring all of this to life and create, as you say, those infinite situations and scenarios. Like even the detail that you've gone to with actually kitting all of this stuff out is remarkable. Yeah,
I mean, some of the detail is it's certainly not mine, but some of the guys have got a different eye for detail, to be honest. This area here, this is like the old, you know, sort of kitchen type thing, but in here there are voids, you know, big voids in here. You know, you can have sniffer dogs in here.
Yeah.
You know, drug dogs, people trafficking dogs. You know, people, as in dogs searching for people. There's a tunnel system in here.
Oh wow.
You know, which runs right through into other rooms, really. And that piece of the tunnel system there is to allow us to get people out if they get a bit freaked out, to be honest. It's sort of a confined space rescue adjunct. So, you know, putting a stretcher and a body in there, and then the guys having to push that stretcher and pull it through a tunnel system into somewhere else can be quite
I can imagine it can be quite challenging and daunting, especially, you know, the tunnel. I mean, I might be mistaken, it doesn't look particularly big.
No, it's not. No, it's you know, and we can put water in it and stuff like that. You know, just to
that's the thing. You add those, you know, add those levels and ladder up.
Yeah, exactly. It's ideal. And this, you know, we've had choking incidents in here. We've had like a family, do you know what I mean, with a full dinner table, and then, you know, one of them is choked, you know, or choking, and then it's a, you know, manage the choking episode. So you know, it's just putting people in the right situation, in the environment that it would happen, you know.
Yeah, as I say, the level of detail, even with, I joked about the furniture covers, but I actually do remember having either like one of my grandparents having a sofa or a chair, and it's those visceral memories that do combine it with all of the other aspects of this that you are doing, creates a whole different ball game of I'm applying this knowledge in a setting in which I need to be 100% focused on exactly what I'm doing and executing, and I also have to do that with loads of distractions, loads of other things going on, and that's so powerful for people.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Where else are you going to get that? You're not.
No.
Outside of the real.
Real event. Yeah. But you know, going from here to another room, you know, you have that switch mentally of, okay, right, so I'm now in a house, right, I'm now in a bombed out building, now I'm in the desert, now I'm in an Arctic environment. Oh my God, now I'm in a pub. You know, we run scenarios in all of these different environments daily, you know, so we can have, 17 environments here, so 17 simulations. So, you know, we can have a number of students simultaneously going through different simulations. So it's probably too many S's in there, I think. But
not at all. Let's take a little wander down further and.
Sure. So these stairs were, again, these were designed to be in this configuration.
Okay, so you can...
Because it's really difficult moving a patient or a casualty on a stretcher around stairs.
Yeah.
You know, so
you almost intentionally designed it to be difficult.
Yeah. You imagine a sort of longboard here, or a stretcher, trying to get it down the stairs and around the corner and down again, you know. Where's the casualty's head, you know? Yeah. Does it stay at the top or does it stay at the bottom? You know, and it's about all of that movement and the coordination of it, and, you know, that'll take 4 people to do that. So that's, you know, 4 persons managing just one casualty moving down the stairs, you know. And if you haven't got those resources, you know, then you need to come up with some improvisation in regards to how to do it. So there's a lot of considerations here, you know, just on the stairs.
It's what you were saying down on the street where we were talking, and it's those micro considerations, those micro decisions that you have to make, you know, and even when you're, you know, you mentioned it, when you see the bullseye on the windscreen and you see, okay, instantly I'm thinking probably, you know, head trauma, chest trauma if the airbag's gone off, I'm going to have to be thinking about a multitude of different things. Same thing when you walk into this situation, you're instantly clocking, okay, stairs, difficult to navigate. If this person I've got a triage is going to be in one of these bedrooms,
exactly,
how am I going to get them down with limited resources?
Exactly. You know, do you carry them? You know, is it a, you know, like a carry down the stairs with 2 people, or, you know, depending upon the severity of the injury, you know, they may have to be completely immobilized before you take them down. And it's all of those, you know, real sort of puzzles and challenges that you have to overcome really as a medic, to be honest, you know, identifying, you know, not only the environment you're in, but the state of the casualty. And moving somebody down some stairs, although it sounds really basic, you know, can change their physiology quite quickly. So you have to have that in consideration as well, of, you know, what are their observations now, what are their observations at the bottom of the stairs, you know, especially if it's a head injury or, you know, some other form of trauma. So yeah, so that's why they were
intentionally designed the way they were.
Exactly. So the guys have put a lot of thought into it.
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, even as I say, we talked about the detail of things, and, you know, from the even the bathrooms to the even then seeing kind of, you've got the elements with the speakers and things like that. You've got all of these things that just stack up to make it totally immersive with little to no expense spared. And the thing that really occurs to me when you're talking about the breadth of people that will be in these kind of environments or doing the training, even seeing things like the pub environment, that enables kind of the lens of people to be extended to, it could even be community responders.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't need to, as you say, it doesn't need to be military medics, it doesn't need to be, you know, high, you know, level clinicians. It can literally be someone, someone's hurt on the street, how do I help them? What can I do?
We've had members of the clergy here on courses.
Wow.
You know, because they wanted to get involved with the local community, with some of the outreach programs for, you know, homeless people, etc. So, you know, they've come here and been trained here. You know, and great, hats off to them. You know,
you can almost imagine like scouts and cubs and stuff like that.
Scouts, cubs, cadets. You know, all of those sort of institutions. You know, where the sole purpose is to do good. To be honest, so
incredible. That's absolutely amazing.
Great. And then there's another, just a simple bedroom through here. But again, you know, cardiac arrest, you know, in the bed. And it's how do, you know, can you do basic life support CPR on a patient on a bed?
Yeah.
You know, you can't. You need to get them off the bed, you know, get them onto a solid surface to be able to do the compressions, you know. But all of these little things, you know, some people may forget, you know, and try to do compressions on a bed, and, you know, unfortunately it's not going to be as effective as if it is on the floor. So, you know, and that takes time. It's right, guys, you need to get them on the floor, you know.
And even then, you know, as you say, with you're operating in limited resources, you know, if you're trying to perform CPR on someone, you might have usually 3 people. You'd have chest compressions, airway management, and yet, what do you do in that situation if there's only 1 or 2 of you? You're going to have to make all these snap decisions, and in real pressure.
And sometimes we'll put a distraction in here. So this would be I don't know, somebody's had a heart attack, and then there'll be an explosion outside. So the real issue is going to be outside. Not to detract from the importance of this, but actually there is other things going on, you know. So yeah, and you can bounce people around from one scenario to another.
I was just thinking that, because you could kind of, it's almost like a narrative storytelling piece where, you know, when you were saying earlier about, okay, it's the people that are not making noise, it's the people that are not moving, that are the people that you probably primarily will be going to, and you're making decisions in terms of, okay, I'm in here, but now there's a bomb gone off, like, what can I realistically, where is my priority set? How am I making that mental checklist?
How am I going to manage my resources, you know? the command room down at the front of the centre there. So that's an ideal room for commanders to sit in, because they can view all of this. You know, they can view every room, they can view what their teams are doing. They've got two-way communication, so their teams can talk to them and they can talk to their teams, and we can escalate the situation rapidly.
Yeah.
You know, by bringing in more role players through one of the entrances at the front. So, you know, the people in here don't.
You can ratchet up the tension.
Yeah, definitely. The tempo goes up, or the tempo can come down, really. So we had a large international oil company in here a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And we did a simulated rig fire. So we had, you know, breaking news on all of the TVs. You know, there's an oil rig fire, etc., etc. With the command elements working in the command room, pulling in, you know, rotary assets, pulling in support resources that were needed. And that was a good exercise. That was a full day, really, of, you know, SOP management, you know, how people manage their SOPs. And the feedback from the command team was great at the end, you know, because not only are you exercising the medical staff, it's also the higher cerebral functions of the command team members, really, and then putting them under a bit of pressure, you know, which is...
Well, it's also an exercise in that senior management team, or those senior members. You know, there's a saying I heard recently, which is going to stick with me. The older I get, the faster I used to be.
Oh, yeah.
And it stresses the importance.
Phrase,
it stresses that importance of, you know, keeping the habit, keeping in practice, making sure that you're preserving those skills, so that when the you know, when the bad thing does happen, you're ready.
You can react.
Or as ready as you can.
Yeah, exactly. You can react to it. You know, it's I mean, you know, short courses are good for that. Yeah. You know, they're impactful. You know, and especially when they're mixed with simulation and theory, with a practical element as well, you know. So it does make a difference to people, I think.
Yeah. Can these exercises also be used, and this is me spitballing here, so feel free to shoot this one down, in terms of almost helping people overcome situations as well that they've experienced, and you want to help them kind of like deal with that in a way that gives them the strategies, coping mechanisms to kind of almost confront that and, you know, realise.
Yeah, I think so. There's obviously the whole PTSD piece. You know, there's one of the treatment elements of PTSD is the repetitive treatment, really, where, you know, people are being treated by sort of mentally reliving the moment and talking about their experiences and talking more about it until it gets to a point where, I'm coming to terms with this now, you know, and it's not such a shock to the system when they relive it. And we could easily, you know, I suppose, replicate a situation here to allow people to have those thought processes and be part of that and keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going until it gets to a point where actually hopefully it's helped, to be honest. But yeah, it's certainly something that we'd like to explore further, to be honest. We're not experts on it, but I would certainly like to explore it a little bit more, really. And if we can, then, you know, if the evidence is there, then absolutely we would.
100%.
So
yeah. I mean, let's go and check out I'm having a look, and I just caught it out the corner of my eye, the gangway, and I wanted to check out that and kind of see what that obs deck looks like. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the mental health,
Elvis was in there a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, in terms of the mental health aspect of things, I think one of those really powerful things is, I sometimes feel like it's all well and good talking about things. Yeah. But sometimes there is a element of immersion that needs to be there to help tackle. Yeah. And it's one of the things that occurred to me could be, you know, something.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's a few areas of you know, the whole PTSD sort of issue, you know, different treatment regimes, different treatment plans, and, you know, immersion could well be one of them, to be honest. I have read a few articles on using virtual reality for treatment of PTSD. I think anything anything, you know, if it works, then why not? You know,
Yeah,
give it a go.
and I know you guys are using some VR stuff. So what are you using your, you know, the VR headsets and all of that?
Yeah, so virtual reality, and obviously there's a number of different types of VR really. So you've got mixed reality, you've got augmented, you've got, you know, virtual reality. We are using that on our courses. Even though we have simulated environments here, there are some things that we just can't simulate, to be honest. So we would like to do more on the virtual reality side. I think it's always going to be an adjunct to training. I don't think it's ever going to replace face-to-face training, practical training, but I think it certainly provides a different aspect to training, especially if you can, you know, use your own hands to pick up instruments or to pick up pieces of equipment on the pre-hospital care side of it. Overlaying different environments with VR, you know, can be interesting, to be honest.
Yeah, it could be an incredibly
very
powerful
interesting
tool.
Yeah, but I think when we've used VR here, we've also added in further simulation as well as the VR. So we're working on the license with an organisation called Headset at the minute, and we're using their extreme weather simulation in VR. But when we use it here, we have the wind gun and the rain gun. So, you know, not only are they, you know, having this visual sort of simulation, they're also getting the physical feeling of wind on their face and rain on their face. You know, it's an extreme weather simulation. So, so that does tend to work quite well, to be honest.
I can imagine.
But yeah, so there's different bits, you know, that we add into it. But and it's great because you just, you know, the guys will be doing it and someone will say, oh, I've got an idea, can we do this? Yeah, do it. You know, can we try and, you know, add this to it? Yeah, let's do it. You know, there's no, there's certainly no negation of thought and ideas here, to be honest.
It seems like there's pretty much no limit to the...
No, none. As long as they don't, you know, burn the place down. But so
one scenario we haven't tried yet is burning the place down.
Yeah, we have. We did do a fire simulator last year, which was really good fun actually. Yeah. It was,
so what did you do for that?
So that was using humidifiers.
Okay.
So, you know, humidified air with different coloured lights, which provides a real authentic fire look.
Yeah, I can imagine, and also with the smoke billowing out and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Dark.
Yeah. And they just use it along the window, you know, the bottoms of the windows there, so you can see this, you know, it looks like the building's actually on fire inside.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, wow. Was that, I'm guessing that's for the fire service?
No, that was just more of a another scenario to be honest.
Wow.
Yeah, just another scenario to add into the mix. But up here, everything is controlled from here, really. All of the bangs and the, you know, the detonations, the smoke generation, the lights, the music, the sounds. It's all done from up here, really, on this deck. Yeah. And then obviously we've got the gantries which run.
I was going to say these are the things where you
along.
can.
Yeah.
You get the trainers up here and they can kind of observe what's going on.
Yeah. And then obviously the lights there all pushing down, you know, into the room. So when the individuals look up, you know, they tend not to look up because the lights focus down. But yeah, it's I don't know where all this kit came from, but yeah, somebody's been quite busy, obviously.
Yeah, attention to detail. It's honestly phenomenal. I mean, even down to silly things like the ships on the wall. Yeah. It all serves to really create this experience that takes you out of wherever you are, or even where you believe you might be, into something else. And that's so powerful. It's certainly nothing like I have ever seen before in terms of immersion and training and what I can imagine this gives those people that are going into those environments. And this is, you know, a level above anything that I've ever
thank you.
experienced.
Thank you.
What's the plans for the future with Iqarus?
Yeah, I think we will continue on with the training side. Expanding training is always on the agenda, really. So we always want to expand our training offerings. At the minute, we're concentrating on pre-hospital, medical training. Who's to say that we will be doing something extra, in the next sort of 12 months? But I think technology will play a big part in that, really. The advent of technology now with ChatGPT, the whole AI, virtual reality.
We can't go through a podcast episode without talking about AI.
Exactly. It's there's a lot to do, I think. There's a lot to do on training.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things because it's a tool that you can use, because seeing the power of all of the knowledge and the training that you provide, the only thing that you're really limited by is scale. Yeah. And if you've got, the ability to deliver that in different languages and
absolutely.
That's something that those tools will give you.
Definitely. One area that we have developed now is the ability to provide consistent messaging to large audiences with the use of avatars. So 100 different types of avatar. 82 different languages and all the dialects. So, we can prepare a lesson in English using an avatar and then turn that into a Spanish language avatar, an avatar that looks Spanish, delivers it in Spanish. And what you get out of that is consistent messaging. So you can send it to a number of people around the globe and they'll all get the same message at the same time. So. And that does help, to be honest. So avatars, one area. The whole VILT, which is the virtual instructor-led training. So we developed that during COVID to allow the continuance of training packages to some of our customers. So we had live feed going out of here to the Middle East, where 130 students sat on their phone or laptop or tablet, whatever, receiving training at sort of 3 o'clock in the morning here, but 6 a.m. over there. But I think all of that was accelerated. All of the technical aspects or the technology aspects that we've developed were accelerated because of COVID. I think we would have got there in the end. We would have got there at some point, but COVID certainly accelerated that.
I think sometimes there needs to be a catalytic event that really makes people think, okay, we need to deliver something at a larger scale. Yeah. Digital is probably our most powerful tool to be able to leverage in order to do that. Yeah. So how do we make that happen? How do we invest the resources necessary to do that?
To do it, I mean, we built a suite. We built a studio suite. Yep. So it was a live deck, live broadcasts going out, and then as you go through these live broadcasts, it's quite tricky, right, for the instructors. They're not, they weren't that versed in doing live broadcasts, but you soon learn very quickly that actually you can record this as live, and then play it out, and then the students still have the opportunity to discuss and call in and ask questions, and we had moderators. I mean, we learned a lot doing that, to be honest. We learned a lot about our limitations, really, but also the expectations of our clients. We wanted to make sure that our contracts were fulfilled and that they received what they paid for. But it was a bit of a learning curve, to be honest, that one.
I mean, that's the thing. It sounds like you guys really have. It's one of those white belt mentalities where you always seem like you want to learn. You always test new things, try new things. The feedback that you get, you adopt and you add that into the scenarios, definitely. And you try these different things. I think that just adds to even more degrees value to the work that you're doing, because it shows that you just constantly want to push to do better and better and better.
Thank you. If one person can save a life from coming here, then we've done our job, really. You know.
Yeah.
And that's our purpose, really, is to provide life-saving skills to people who may not have had them before they come through the door. So.
Yeah, and it's incredible. It really is. If people want to find out more, where should they go? What should they do?
To the website, by all means. Immersivetraining.iqarus.com.
Epic. Well, I highly encourage people to do so.
Great.
And continue the work that you're doing. It's incredible. I've had a blast being shown around, and
Great.
I'm going to now see if I can have a little bit more fun.
Brilliant. Cheers, Johnny.
Thanks,
Great
Joe.
to see you. Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks so much for watching this episode. It means so much to us that you're supporting the channel. If you're interested in more medical innovation content, then go ahead and check out some of our other videos. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you.